That indicates Stephen Burton takes things very seriously. If you don't learn anything from this, you're pretty damn dumb.
Tell us how you really feel.
All right, do your thing, Stephen.
Is there enough light to see?
Yeah.
Thank you, Griff. Thank you all for being here and celebrating Rabbie Burns' night. So we gather here tonight, as people all around the world do at this time of year, to celebrate a man who was born in a clay cottage. He died at 37, and yet somehow managed to become Scotland's immortal poet. Am I that bad? Oh, really? A man who plowed fields by day and penned poetry by night. A man who could make you weep over a mouse's destroyed nest, and laughed until you wept at a drunk farmer's encounter with witches. A man who loved Scotland, loved liberty, loved whiskey, and perhaps most enthusiastically loved the lassies. His nationalism burned as fierce as his egalitarianism. Scots Way Hey wasn't just a poem, it was a battle cry, invoking Robert the Bruce and Scottish independence. When Burns wrote about Scotland, he didn't romanticize from a distance. He captured her soul, her language, her landscape, her people. He wrote in Scots when fashionable society demanded English. He celebrated Scottish folk culture when the educated classes dismissed it as crude. He was Scotland's voice when Scotland was in danger of losing hers. You know, I always like to make these little strings of connections when I have the opportunity to talk to you all. Anybody recognize this ship?
We married?
Cutty Sark.
It's the Cutty Sark.
Yeah.
Okay? And it takes its name from one of the lines in Robert Burns' famous poem, Tam O'Shanter, perhaps his greatest narrative poem. What is it but pure Scotland? Now, the Cutty Sark was the last and the fastest of the tea clippers, right when the age of steam took over and propellers took over for propulsion. And it still exists today. But so, to show you how much he was influencing our culture, well, just listen. The story of Tam O'Shanter is about a farmer who gets drunk at an inn, and he stays too long, despite knowing his wife is going to be certainly furious. And rides home through a storm, only to spy witches dancing in a haunted church. And that church is still there today, the ruins of it. You can go by and see what inspired them. It's got everything. This poem has supernatural terror, it's a comedy, has a chase scene, it's a moral about the dangers of strong drink. And in a line from the poem, it references the famous Scottish undergarment that women wore back then, the Cutty Sark.
I didn't know that.
Wheel done, Cutty Sark, and in an instant all was dark. And if you continue with the poem, when he spies her Cutty Sark, he lets out a yell, and the witch Nanny sees him and starts chasing him. He hops on his horse Meg, and they take off, and he knows he has to get across a brook because the witches can't swim across the brook. And at the last instant, she grabs onto the horse's tail and pulls it off as they jump across the brook. Okay. And here today is the Cutty Sark, and if you notice the bowhead, it's actually carved with the horse's tail. And we cannot forget Auld Lang Syne, the song we sing worldwide every New Year's Eve, most of us mangling the words and understanding barely half of it. Burns took an old Scottish folk song and transformed it into humanity's anthem of friendship and remembrance. Not bad for a ploughman from Ayrshire who took Scottish folklore and elevated it to a high art, never losing the earthly humor that made it soar. We must face, to use a Scottish metaphor, the ram among the ewes, the distinctive trait that everyone soon learns about Rabbie, the trail of broken hearts that Burns left across Scotland. The man had, shall we say, an enthusiastic appreciation for female beauty. He fathered at least 12 children. Some historians say more, with multiple women. His wife, Jean Amour, was a saint to put up with him. Though, to be fair, he did seem genuinely to love her and immortalized her in verse. But there was also Highland Mary, and Clorinda, and a tavern maid here, a servant girl there. Burns didn't just write, "Oh, my love is like a red, red rose." He lived it repeatedly. He was criticized for his morals, certainly. But perhaps Burns understood that love and desire are fundamental human experiences, deserving of poetry as much as patriotism or piety. He wrote about passion honestly, sometimes tenderly, sometimes bodily, but always humanly. When he penned those lines from Green Grow the Rashes O, the sweetest hours that e'er I spend are spent among the lasses O. He wasn't apologizing, he was celebrating. And tonight, so shall we. Burns died young, just 37, weakened by the hard labor of farming and perhaps by his enthusiastic enjoyment of life's pleasures. We honor the values he championed: equality, independence, honesty, passion. We honor the Scotland he loved. We honor the humanity he celebrated in all its messy, glorious, and perfect reality. So let us raise our glasses to Rabbie Burns, the ploughman, poet, the lover of liberty and lasses, the voice of Scotland, the friend to mice and men. Here's to us. Who's like us? Damn few, and they're all dead. To the immortal memory of Rabbie Burns, Sancha Va.
Here, here. Thank you. That was excellent.